Good evening everyone. Welcome to the News Today edition of 5th of May. Today we will be discussing the most important news for today, and along with the news we will be also focusing on the PYQs of the last year prelims examination. My name is Anuj and I will be taking today's session. Let us first discuss the headlines for the today's session. In the first main news, I will be talking about the alternative batteries beyond the lithium ion batteries. Then in the second main news, we will be discussing about the push for the edge in the emerging high-tech technologies in the defense sector by the defense minister. Then in the third main news, we will be discussing about the dual use satellite that is blurring the lines of modern space war. Then in the next news, we will be discussing India's first artificial intelligence orbital data center satellite, the Pathfinder. Then in the last main news, we will be covering about the e-waste management in India. So these are the main news for today, and after that we will be discussing the place in news, that is UAE for today, and then we will be briefly covering the 8 quick update. So this is the brief about today's session. Let us start the session with the first news, and before starting the first news, let us have a look at the last year prelims examination questions related to the lithium ion batteries or lithium in general as an alternative source of energy. So these questions are from the set A from the last year prelims 2025 prelims examination. Whenever you are covering a topic, you should analyze the PYQs from that topic from the UPSC examination so that you understood what you have to cover and how you have to cover that. Because the best guide is the UPSC PYQs. Let us start the discussion with the 41st question. I hope it is visible. So question is, consider the following type of vehicles. 1. Full battery electrical vehicle. Hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. Third, fuel cell electric hybrid vehicles. So question is, how many of the above are considered as an alternative powertrain vehicle? Alternative to the crude oil or the petroleum and the diesel powertrain vehicles. So such type of question you cannot found in one topic. Okay, so here the question is checking your general awareness. You might be seeing the electrical vehicle on the road. That means that have electrical powertrain vehicle. Then you might be seeing or you might have read about hydrogen fuel cell vehicle. That is hydrogen fuel cell powertrain vehicles. Then third, fuel cell and electric hybrid vehicle. These are also there in the news. So all the three can be used as alternative powertrain vehicles. Let us discuss one more question. That is the 42nd question. Question is, in the context of electrical vehicle batteries, which are mostly lithium ion batteries, consider the following element. 1. Cobalt. 2. Graphite. 3. Lithium. 4. Nickel. Question is, how many of the above usually make up the battery cathode? So it is indirectly asking about the lithium ion batteries only. So you can think, or it might be seem that this question is little bit difficult. But if you know the basics of the lithium ion batteries, then this question become very easy. How? Because on the cathode in the lithium ion batteries, there is lithium and metal oxide. That can be that is lithium for sure, and that can be nickel oxide or the cobalt oxide. So 1, 3 and 4 are mostly or usually, as question is given, are at the cathode. Then at the anode it is mostly graphite. So this won't be the correct matchup in this question. So answer would be only 3. Then one more question, the 79th question. Consider the following pair. It is indirectly from the lithium ion batteries. One option is Chile, which is matched to the lithium. So question is, consider the following pair. Country resource rich in. Botswana, is it resource rich in diamond? Yes, it is resource rich in diamond. Chile, is it resource rich in lithium? You might have heard about lithium triangle. Please write down in the comment section what are the countries which are there in the lithium triangle. So here Chile is the largest source for the lithium. So one of the country in the lithium triangle is Chile. Please mention in the comment section what are the other 2 countries. Then third, Indonesia. 60% of nickel is produced from Indonesia. So all the 3 are the answer, is the answer. So this is the importance of the topic that we will be discussing in the first news. Let us start the discussion. First of all, what is the context? So context is very simple. Alternative beyond lithium batteries emerging amid rising sectoral demand. This is the context, and it is related to paper 3, science and technology, and you can also connect it with the sustainable development of the paper 3. So the development is here that the battery alternative like sodium and fluoride ion batteries offer huge potential apart from the lithium ion battery. This is the development, very simple development. Let us go to the back to the brief history of the batteries. You might have heard the volts. So there was a scientist by the name Volta. He experimented with the zinc and copper, and he placed some separator, and he was able to store energy. That is how the production of modern batteries started, based on the principle, and that's why the volt is also used. This is the brief history. And in the year 2019, Nobel Prize was given to the scientist who made the lithium ion batteries. So this is the brief history of this topic. Let us start the discussion in detail what is there in the topic. First of all, the lithium ion batteries, what are they? So think of an sandwich. So here it is cathode, and here it is anode, and then there is a separator, the polymer separator. And if at the cathode there will be lithium metal oxide, as we have seen in the question, that can be cobalt, that can be nickel as well. And at the anode there will be graphite and also the lithium. So this is positive and this is negative. Okay, so when we are charging it, so electron will be moving from like this, and the positive lithium in electrolyte, there is salt of the lithium that will be passing through the membrane, and it will get attached to the anode. This is at the time of charging, and when there will be the discharge, the opposite will take place. This is the simple working of the lithium ion batteries. Let us discuss that. So it is a rechargeable battery widely used in portable electronics and electrified transportation. If you are using mobile phone, if you are using laptop, iPad, smartwatches, you might be using the lithium ion batteries. Anode and cathode store lithium. Electrolyte carries the positive charged lithium ion, that is this from anode to cathode and vice versa through separator. While charging and discharging, there is opposite direction of the lithium ion as well as the electron. What are its benefit? It has higher energy density compared to the lead acid batteries and sodium ion batteries. It is low maintenance and low self discharge rate, so it does not discharge in itself, and it has a longer life. But there are some issues with that. You might have heard about the Ola scooters last year. They can catch fire, and there is high import dependence and supply chain disruption issues, slow charging rate as well. So they cannot charge at a very high pace, and they are mostly present in the lithium triangle which is there in South America. Let us move forward and understand about the sodium ion batteries. Most of the working principle is same as of the lithium ion batteries. Let us discuss how it is different then. First of all, it functions similar to the lithium ion batteries that we have discussed, but use sodium ion, that is Na plus instead of Li plus. That is the difference, as a charge carrier that moves from cathode to anode and anode to cathode. It is also a rechargeable battery that generate electricity by moving ions between two electrodes, that is positive electrode and a negative electrode. Then what are its benefit? First of all, the availability of sodium. When we were discussing the lithium ion batteries, we have discussed the supply chain disruption in the lithium. Second, it is safer. In the concerns regarding to the lithium ion batteries, we have discussed that it can catch fire. So it is safer. There is lower risk of catching fire compared to the lithium batteries when operated in a extreme condition. And transportation and storage typically safer compared to lithium. Obviously, if they won't catch fire, they will be safer than the lithium ion batteries. Now let us also discuss the fluoride ion batteries, meaning they are rechargeable system in which fluoride ions, that are anions, serve as a mobile charge carries between the electrode during the cycle of charging and discharging. One of the most important benefit of these batteries are their high energy density. So they seem like a future, and they could deliver more than 2000 watt hour per kg. So in a smaller cell, there will be higher energy compared to the 500 watt hour kg for a lithium ion battery. So they are there under the research, and they can be used at the aeroplanes as well, because in aeroplane it is said that 800 watt hour per kg of energy density is required. Then availability, fluorine is far more abundant than lithium with a larger supply chain. So this was all from the first news, and we have discussed the PYQs in the starting of the news itself. With this, let us talk about and discuss the second main news. Also, before discussing the second main news, that is about the defense tech, let us discuss the questions from the year 2025 prelims examination which are related to defense technology. Then you will understand the importance of the defense technology. Next two news are related to defense tech. First question, the 42nd question. With reference to unmanned aerial vehicles, consider the following statement. All types of UAVs can do the vertical landing. Second, all type of UAVs can do automated hovering. Third, all type of UAVs can use battery only as a source of power supply. All the three statements are extreme statement, and third statement is extremist statement. It also uses the all, it also uses the only. So very extreme statements are given in this. And last year UAVs, because of war in Ukraine and Russia, was all over the news. So answer for this is that none, because all type of UAVs can do vertical landing. That is not true. All type of UAVs can do automatic hovering around a place. That is not possible. Then all type of UAVs can use battery only. Only battery can be used as a source for fuel of UAV. That is also not true. They can also use other sources as well. So answer is D, none. Then second question from the defense tech. What is the common characteristics of chemical substances generally known as China Lake 20, that is Cl20, HMX, high material exchange, or HMX, and LLM 105, which are sometimes talked about in media? So they were also there in the news. That means this question is also inspired from the current affairs. This question is also inspired from the current affairs. And you will not find such type of statement anywhere whenever you are reading the current affairs. You have to apply mind and think peacefully or calmly about the solution. Second question is little bit tougher than the first question, because terms are given, and which according to the statement or the question they are related to, that has been asked in the question. So they are basically explosive in the military weapons. We most of the time discussed about the weapon, but weapons have explosive. That is the reason they are dangerous. So these are the explosive in the military weapon: Cl20, HMX, LLM 105. So let us discuss two more questions from the last year itself, from the defense tech only, which with reference, 85th question, with reference to India's defense, consider the following pair. First, the aircraft type and description. Dornier 228, manufactured by HAL. It is a maritime patrol aircraft. True. IL-76, it is a bulk transport aircraft, not a supersonic combat aircraft. C-10 Globemaster 3, which is a military transport aircraft. So 1 and 3 are correctly matched. What is asked in the question? How many of the pair given above are correctly matched? So answer will be B, only 2. Then GPS aided geo augmented navigation, Gagan, manufactured or produced by ISRO and Airport Authority of India, uses a system of ground station to provide necessary augmentation. Which of the following statement is or are correct in respect to Gagan? Statement 1, it is designed to provide additional accuracy and integrity. Absolutely true. It will allow more uniform and high quality air traffic management. Airport Authority of India is there. It is for its objective is to manage the air traffic management in a better way. Second statement is also correct. Third, it will provide benefits only in aviation but not in other modes of transportation. Again, a very extreme statement. It is also used for railway and other transportation systems. If you have read about the objectives of Gagan, you would have solved this question. So answer would be D, 1 and 2 only. So these were the questions related to defense tech in the last year prelims examination. Now let us discuss the news, the second news. So the context here is that the defense minister pushes for the edge in the emerging high-tech technologies in the defense sector. It is related to paper 3, where syllabus talks about internal security. What is the development in this news? The development is that at North Tech Symposium, Defense Minister have stressed the urgent need to India to accelerate innovation in cutting-edge defense technology in emerging domains. There is a war going on between USA and Iran. Also, Israel is also there on the USA side. Are soldiers crossing the borders? What is the war all about? It is about the demonstration of technology, how they can use the technology in a better way. No soldier is going or moving in the borders in one another country. That is the importance of defense in technology, and that was also seen in our Operation Sindoor, okay, where we attacked and protected our land from Pakistan attack. Okay. So let us move forward and understand about the emerging domains of defense technology. First one is the directed energy weapon. Think of Superman and laser from his eyes. That is similar to directed energy weapon. It includes weapons that use concentrated electromagnetic energy like lasers, microwaves or particle beams. Example, Superman. Although it's a fictional character, but even then. Then hypersonic weapon system. What are hypersonic systems? That have Mach of more than 5. That means speed 5 times speed of sound. And speed of sound is around 343 meter per second. That means the sound travel at a speed of 343 meters in a second. And if some object or a weapon can travel at a 5 times far speed, at a speed 5 times more than speed of the sound, that is known as hypersonic weapon system. Simple definition. So it includes hypersonic glide vehicles such as missiles or weapons which are guided and released from a launched vehicle. Then hypersonic cruise missiles that move near to the terrains, along with the terrains. Then artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is used everywhere. There was a report that USA have used the cloud data to know the location of supreme leader of Iran and then attacked. That is the usefulness of artificial intelligence in war. Then quantum technologies. Quantum computers can be used to optimize the complex military logistic and supply chain and unhackable communication with instant detection of interception. How this is possible? You might have heard about quantum entanglement. What is the meaning of quantum entanglement? There are two protons or two objects which are entangled, means are connected to one another and that are at a very far distance. And if there is a disturbance in one, there will be automatic disturbance in the another one, or there will be knowing that there is a disturbance in the first object. That is the entanglement, quantum entanglement, and this principle is used for the communication, which is very hard to intercept. Let us move forward and discuss about the government initiative for emerging defense technology. First one is IDEX, that stands for Innovation for Defense Excellence. And it is to foster innovation and indigenization in the defense and aerospace. It is a central sector scheme where government is supporting the ideas and MSMEs to work in the defense tech field. Then there is Atiti, that stands for Acing Development of Innovative Technologies with IDEX. This is related to the first one, and it is to develop 30 critical deep tech and strategic technologies to reduce the import dependence. Deep tech in the defense sector. Then there is institutional framework for AI as well through the Defense AI Council and the Defense AI Project agencies. So these agency and this council provide a institutional framework for AI. And lastly, there is development of hypersonic weapon. Example, Dhwani, hypersonic glide vehicle in a indigenous model. So these are the initiative related to emerging defense technologies. With this, we have completed the second main news. Now let us discuss the third main news. Third main news is related to the space warfare, and the context here is that the dual use satellite are blurring lines of modern space war. What are dual use satellite? Basically a satellite which is sent for communication and other usable purposes. That same satellite can be used for the defense purposes such as intelligence gathering. That is the meaning of dual use satellite. It is related to paper 3 security again. And let us discuss this news, and first of all, let us discuss the development. So the cyber attack impacting the satellite network and GPS spoofing incident brought to the focus of the issue connecting dual use satellite and modern space warfare. First of all, let us understand these two terms. One is cyber attack. You might be aware about cyber attack. Second term, what is GPS spoofing? Basically sending the wrong coordinates. Suppose a pilot have to land a aircraft, but someone has done the GPS spoofing. So there can be the misdirection in the landing, or there can be the false alarm. So this is the development. And when you think about space warfare, don't think that there will be destruction of satellite, there will be debris all over. That is one aspect. The other aspect is cyber attack, intelligence gathering, and providing the misinformation to the usage for the military. So this is related to the space warfare. Now let us discuss this in detail. First of all, the space in modern warfare. It refers to the military conflict conducted into or from the outer space aimed at disrupting or destroying satellite and other space asset. And there is a gray area as well. According to UN Charter, under UN Charter 2, there can be use of force, and there can be use of attack in the case of use of force by the other country. But if someone is doing the cyber attack or is GPS spoofing, that country is not using use of force, then the UN Charter 2 won't be applicable. And it involves kinetic, that is anti-satellite weapons, and it also involves the non-kinetic weapon, that is cyber warfare, electromagnetic pulses. So space warfare, as we have discussed while discussing the context, does not only include the kinetic forces or the kinetic weapon, it also includes the non-kinetic weapons. Let us discuss the emergence of space in modern warfare. First of all, space being a strategic sphere. It is critical in areas like navigation, for providing navigation, for providing communication, for providing remote piloting, surveillance, and information warfare. We require space. In the recent Iran war as well, there is news that China, by its navigation system BIDAO, is providing the navigation facilities to the Iran. Iran does not have its own navigation system. We have Navik. Then proliferation of the anti-satellite weapons. Anti-satellite weapons are the weapon which can destroy the satellite. That is the meaning of anti-satellite weapon. And countries like China, United States of America, Russia have these satellite, and also India through the mission Shakti in the 2019 have conducted a anti-satellite test. Then there is dual use nature of satellite. So these satellites serves as a crucial element of ballistic missile defense system as well. So they provide information basically, and also they are used for navigation, communication. So there is dual use. Now let us move forward and discuss about the consequences of space warfare. First of all, swiftness and scale. So space amplifies weapon platform by increasing the velocities of missile trajectory, thus enhancing the speed and accuracy. Basically, if we have exact information, there will be fastness in the attack. Second, the military action. So it impairs the operation like distance drone operation. If there is sending of the drones from separate country, it can impair that. Then it can anti-access and area denial. So that's this area cannot be accessed by the foreign countries. And also manned unmanned teaming mission. So unmanned vehicles or the unmanned drone with the manned drones, they can work in a coordinated manner. Then about the debris. Debris are the particle or the artificial particle in the space. So a minuscule fragment of the wreckage from an obliterated satellite can harm spacecraft like International Space Satellite. Then disruption of essential services. If there is attack on the communication satellite, navigation satellite, it will disrupt the essential services. So this was about this news, and let us discuss about the key measure that are there for preventing the warfare in the space. One of which is very important treaty, that is Outer Space Treaty. It prohibits deployment of weapons of mass destruction into the space. But here the dual use satellite have that advantage that they does not come directly under this Outer Space Treaty, and they are deployed there, and they are often used for the intelligence gathering and the other military purposes. Then the Liability Convention of 1972 that expand upon the Article 7 of the Outer Space Treaty, establishing absolute liability for launching state for damage caused. Suppose I am launching a satellite, and I here means a country. For example, UAE is launching a satellite, and that satellite has harmed the satellite of the other country, for example, Japan. So UAE will be liable for the damage of the satellite of the Japan. These both treaty have been signed and ratified by India, whereas the third treaty have been signed by India but not ratified. What is the third treaty? It is the Moon Agreement 1984. So moon and the other celestial bodies be used exclusively for peaceful purposes. Then lastly, Indian initiative for preventing warfare in the space, Defense Space Agency to protect Indian interest in outer space. Then guidelines for space cyber security by Indian Computer Emergency Response Team, that is certain that basically functioned against the cyber attack on India or Indian interest. So with this, we have completed the third main news for today. Let us move to the fourth main news. The fourth main news is related to the Artificial Intelligence Orbital Data Center Satellite Pathfinder. It is the context, and again it is related to paper 3, where syllabus talks about achievement of Indian in science and technology. Let us start the discussion for this news. First of all, the development. So to build with partnership of space tech firm, that is Pixel, and AI startup Sarvam, that is there in India, where former will design, that is the Pixel will design, build, launch and operate Pathfinder satellite, while later will provide the AI backbone. So here earlier one is Pixel and later one is AI startup of India, that is Sarvam. And the ODC, along with enhancing the country's space computing capabilities, would promote technological sovereignty by operating independently of foreign cloud infrastructure. Why we need data center in the space? If you are following the newspaper, you might have read that one of the state in USA, that is many state, have banned that there won't be any data center in their state. What is the reason behind? Because data centers use a lot of energy that give load on the electrical infrastructure in an area. Then it require lot of water for cooling. Then it also require a lot of land. Okay. Then there are also threat of attack and the country's issue. In the recent Israel and Iran war, Israel, USA and Iran war, Iran have targeted the data centers. So these are some threat regarding the data center on the ground. That is the reason there are discussion about the data centers in the space. Now let us discuss this news. First of all, about the orbital data center. Its meaning is scalable cloud enabled data processing and storage infrastructure operating directly in space, basically in low earth orbit, and work either in conjunction with the terrestrial cloud infrastructure or independently. So it can work independently as well, or it can work with the terrestrial cloud infrastructure. Then what are the key architectural element of ODC? Modular compute containers. So each housing server will network and liquid cooling and power distribution infrastructure, that is there for the ODC. Second, power and thermal system. They will depend on the energy of the sun. Then data transport. How they will transfer the data from space to the earth? That will be through the laser based communication. So this is about the key architectural element of ODC. Now let us move forward and let us discuss the significance of ODC. First of all, abundant and uninterrupted power from the solar. So they are mostly placed in sun synchronous orbit, so they face sun most of the time, and it can leverage continuous high intensity solar power. When we were discussing the disadvantages of terrestrial data center, we have discussed that they require a large electricity. Second significance is that they radiate free radiation for cooling. So when we were discussing the disadvantage, then we discussed that they use lot of water, the terrestrial data center. So there is deep vacuum of space in the space, and it serves as a gigantic cold heat sink having effective ambient temperature of around minus 270 degrees. So there will be more cooling without the need of water. Then scalability and speed of deployment. So ODC can be linearly scaled almost indefinitely through the modular design. So these are the some of the significance, but there are some disadvantages as well. First one, if there is some issue in the GPU, graphic processing center, that has to be removed by the launch vehicle or after launching a satellite, then cost of launching is very high still. Okay, and there are very few private organizations that can launch a satellite into this space. Now let us move forward and understand about the Pathfinder that is launched. In one of the prelims examination, UPSC have asked about evolved Pathfinder. That is different, this is different. Okay, so basically it is a 200 kilogram class satellite which is expected to reach orbit by the fourth quarter of 2026. That means by this year, by the end of this year. And what are its key feature? First of all, a data center grade GPU, that is graphic processing unit. And unlike the traditional satellite system relying on the low power processors, it offers high performance computing in space as it have the data center grade GPU. Graphic processing unit are basically the processing unit to process the image and other things that are used in the data centers. Then hyperspectral imaging camera, which has to be deployed for first time on a satellite, offering faster and real-time decision making. So normal camera take a image in the visible wavelength, whereas hyperspectral imaging take in a wider wavelength that offer better imaging. So with this, we have completed this news. Now let us move to the last main news for today. So the last main news is related to the e-waste management in India, and e-waste is nothing but the waste from the electronic gadget. It is related to paper 3 where syllabus talks about sustainable development. Let us discuss what is the development. So the development is that at the Paryavaran Niti Manthan, policy makers flagged gap in extended producer responsibility implementation as India loses recoverable e-waste material worth nearly 51,000 crore. So here there is two things that we have to understand, and that can be understood by a single example. What is the meaning of extended producer responsibility? Let us have two scenarios when there is no EPR and when there is extended producer responsibility. Suppose you have bought a camera, you have used it, you are using it or you have used it, then the camera got damaged, and most often than not you throw that camera. You throw that camera. Okay. So this is the linear usage of product. Now let us come to the EPR. So till here everything is same till the damage. The camera is damaged. But now in EPR, in the extended producer responsibility, the producer is also responsible to collect the damaged product, or even you can drop that, but they are responsible as they are earning by selling the cameras. So some of the profit should be placed for the EPR, that is extended producer responsibility. So it leads to that damaged product again go to manufacturer, and they take out the important resources or important product from the camera and use again in the manufacturing. So it gives rise to circular economy. Basically, this is the development. Now let us discuss the e-waste and its status in India. So India is the third largest e-waste generator globally. And first two countries are China and then USA. So first, at the first place, it is China and then it is USA. E-waste generation have increased from 2.7 million metric ton in the year 2020 to 6.19 million metric ton in the year 2024, and which is projected to reach at 14 million metric ton by the year 2030. Think of the electronic product around you. There might be a AC, there might be a fridge, there might be a cooler, there might be a fan, TV, electronic vehicle, computer, mobile. Anything which is electronic will be becoming electronic waste in some time. Okay. Now, let us move forward and understand about the issues related to the e-waste management in India. First of all, the weak enforcement. EPR is there for 7 products and they are not in sync with one another. Then there is informalization. So India's formal recycling rate is only 10%, whereas on the other hand, the average, the global average is at 22%, and countries like USA, it is way higher at the 56%. So there is recycling in India in the informal setup, which is very dangerous and hazardous. Then narrow focus. So EPR coverage in the EPR recycling is limited to very few products such as gold, copper, iron and aluminium. Basically the precious metals in the e-waste. Then other issues, there is low skill for the recycling, there is accessibility of advanced recycling process is not there, and collection inefficiencies are there, and low consumer awareness. Okay, think of a society and think about a society where people are not preparing for UPSC, and then ask them that how many of them or how many of that society would know about the EPR. The chances are that they will be knowing very less about EPR. Now let us discuss about the government measure for e-waste management. First of all is e-waste management rule of 2022 that strengthen the EPR framework for producer as well as for the recycler. And there is EPR e-waste portal and trading platform that have been developed by CPCB, that stand for Central Pollution Control Board, which is a statutory body established under the Water Act of 1974. It is there for registration as well as it is monitoring of e-waste along with the EPR certificate trading. Then there is battery waste management rule of 2022. It mandate collection, recycling and refurbishment, target prohibiting landfill disposal as well as incineration. Then lastly, there is National Critical Mineral Mission, and in this it aims to develop domestic recycling capacity for critical mineral from lithium ion batteries, e-waste and industrial scrap. So with this we have completed this news. Now let us discuss the PYQs related to this news. First PYQ is from the year 2025. Okay, there are 3 statements. Okay, if you see these statements, you will think that it is a very difficult question. But question can be long, question can be short. You don't have to assume things. You have to read and then decide. So statement 1, circular economy reduces the emission of greenhouse gases, obviously. Then circular economy reduce the use of raw material as input. We have discussed about the linear cycle as well as the circular cycle in the development. So obviously it reduces the raw material as input. Third, circular economy reduces wastage in the production process because there will be reuse of the products. So it will lead to reduction in the wastage. So answer will be that the both statement 2 and statement 3 are correct, and both of them explain the statement 1. So this was the last year question, and this question is on the easier side. Now let us discuss one more PYQ, and this is from the year 2019, and please read it carefully because you have to write the answer of this PYQ in the comment section. I will be reading for you. In India, extended producer responsibility was introduced as an important feature in which of the following? 1. The Biomedical Waste Management and Handling Rules of 1998. 2. The Recycled Plastic Manufacturing and Usage Rule 1999. The E-Waste Management and Handling Rule 2011. 4th, the Food Safety and Standard Regulation of 2011. Please write down the answer in the comment section. With this, we have completed the main news. Now let us discuss the place in news for today. And the place in news for today is United Arab Emirates. And the context is that the UAE have accused Iran launched first attack since the ceasefire and drone strike at Fujairah oil facility that have injured 3 Indians. In this news, we will be discussing about the features of the UAE. So UAE is a federation of 7 Emirates, and it includes Abu Dhabi, Dubai and Sharjah. Okay, so there are 7 Emirates that are clubbed together, and that is UAE. That is the name of United Arab Emirates. And please be very clear, this is Strait of Hormuz, and it is between Iran and Oman. If you see the map without concentration, it will look like that it is there between the UAE and the Iran, whereas it is there between Iran and Oman. Bordering countries include the Saudi Arabia here and the Oman in the southeast. Okay, and maritime boundaries, there is Gulf of Oman which is here and Persian Gulf, and that is the reason it can be an alternative for the Strait of Hormuz. There can be a passage through the UAE. Then climate, desert, hot and humid in summer, warm and sunny in winters, cooler in eastern mountain, and it has no perennial stream. Last year there was a question that there is no river that is pouring into the Red Sea. That was little bit controversial, but the answer key of the UPSC, it was given that it is a correct statement. There is no river that is falling into the Red Sea. So similarly here, it has no perennial stream of regularly occurring bodies of surface water, and Tropic of Cancer, which also passes through India, passes through the UAE. Okay, so this was about the place in news for today. Now let us briefly discuss the quick update for today. And the first quick update is about the provision for acid attack survivor. And the context here is that the Supreme Court have expanded the definition of acid attack victim under the Right of Person Disabilities Act 2016 by including the forcible acid ingestion victim and victim with internal injuries. So in this act, only the persons on whom the acid was thrown was included. But now Supreme Court has said that that definition was very narrow, and if someone is forced to drink acid, that also should be included in this act. Now let us discuss the other provision for the acid attack survivor in India. Section 124 of Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. So acid attack causing the injury or deformity is a cognizable and non-bailable offense, and that can lead to the punishment of 10 years without bail. Sorry, it is 10 years with fine as well. Then section 397, that is Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita. It provides free immediate treatment in all hospital And police intimidation is mandatory, because in India, sometime reporting to the police is an issue. Then Prime Minister National Relief Fund, it provide assistance of 1 lakh aid and recognize for the other welfare schemes. Then the landmark judgment, which is one of which is Lakshmi case, which regulate acid sale. You cannot find the acid on normal shops. Then Parivartan Kendra, that is action against the illegal suppliers of the acid. Now let us move to the next quick update. The next quick update is about the ILO Article 24. In this news, we will be learning about the ILO. So, tea plantation workers in the West Bengal invoked the Article 24 of the International Labour Organization Constitution. First of all, let us understand what is the Article 24 of the ILO Constitution. So, Article 24 allows workers or employees organization to file a representation against a member state for non-compliance with ratified labor conventions. In one of the prelims examination, UPSC have asked about the conventions of ILO, and it was related to the child. Now let us understand about the International Labour Organization. It was established in the year 1919 and under the Treaty of Versailles. India is the founding member, and there are 187 members in ILO. What is the objective? Its objective is to promote labor right, decent work and social justice. There are other information related to ILO. First of one is tripartite structure, which includes the government, workers as well as the employers. And it is the first specialized agency of the United Nations. So this is an extreme statement. You should be reading this statement very carefully. So ILO is the first specialized agency of the United Nations, and it was awarded with the Nobel Peace Prize in the 1967 for the promotion of social justice and workers' right. Suppose there are two statements in the prelims examination, the one of which is that ILO is the first specialized agency of the United Nations. That would be correct. Second, that ILO have been awarded with the Nobel Prize in the past. That statement would also be correct. Now let us move to the next quick update. The next quick update is about the NISARs. So basically, NISAR satellite observation have revealed the rapid land subsidence in the Mexico City due to the excessive groundwater extraction. So they have taken the images of the Mexico City, and they have found out because of the removal of the large scale groundwater, there has been subsidence of the Mexico City. Now let us discuss about the NISAR, that is NASA ISRO synthetic aperture radar satellite. So it is the first joint Earth observation satellite mission between ISRO of India and NASA of USA. Then launch vehicle was GSLV F-16, Geosynchronous Launch Vehicle Mark II. Now there is Mark III with the India, and it orbit in the Sun synchronous polar orbit. Suppose this is Earth, it revolve around like this in the Sun synchronous. Then its mission life is 5 years. It was launched last year in the July, and it is there for the 5 years. And it uses the dual band, that is the first satellite to use both L and S band synthetic aperture radar. What is synthetic aperture radar? Basically, synthetic aperture radar is using the radar system from a moving object to capture the Earth or to capture the image. And technique uses advanced sweep SAR technology for high resolution wide swath imaging. So this was about the NASA, which stands for NASA ISRO synthetic aperture radar. Now let us move to the next quick update. The next quick update is about the brain eating amoeba. You might have read about amoeba in your biology classes. It is a single cell microorganism. So context here is that scientists warn that rising temperature due to climate change can spread the risk of disease causing amoeba, particularly the brain eating amoeba. And they are mostly found in the places like swimming pool or the water parks in the hotter regions. Okay, so please be very careful. And they live in the soil and warm freshwater lakes, river, pond and hot spring around the world. They are not that in that abundance, but they are there, and it enters the body through the nose and attack the brain tissues. That's why the brain eating amoeba, and it can cause an infection called the primary amoebic meningoencephalitis, that is PAM. And this PAM is a rare fulminant infection of central nervous system that is always fatal. That means it lead to the death of a person. Now let us move to the next news. Next news is about the Hanta virus. So there was and there are allegation of Hanta virus outbreak that have trapped around 150 people in a Dutch flagged cruise ship MV Hondius that lived around 3% dead. They were there on the Western African borders. So there are reports that on that cruise ship, which was a luxurious cruise ship, there is the spread of Hanta virus. What is this Hanta virus? It is a zoonotic virus carried by rodent, that is rats and mice, that can cause severe disease in humans. So basically, if the urine or the rodent's urine is there and that become airborne, that can lead to the Hanta virus. And people in usually get infected through contact with the infected rodent or their urine, and it is very rare between human to human transfer. It can also be from dropping or the saliva of the rodent. It causes two type of syndrome. First, hantavirus cardiopulmonary syndrome, a rapidly progressive condition affecting the lungs and the heart of a person, and hemorrhagic fever with the renal syndrome. There is no specific cure for the hantavirus. Now let us move to the next quick update. The next quick update is about the Atacama Desert. And the context here is that the light pollution threatened the world's darkest sky in the Atacama Desert, impacting the astronomical observation. Basically, the skies in the Atacama Deserts are very clear. That's why the area in this desert are used for the astronomical observation. And the context here is that due to the light pollution, these astronomical observation are under thread. In this news, we will be discussing about the Atacama Desert. So basically, it is a cold desert and location is North Chile in the South America, and it is a coastal non-polar hyper-arid desert running north to south between the Pacific Ocean and the Andes Range. So this is the location of it, and it is the driest place outside the polar region. And if you think about its location, it is between the Andes and the Pacific. Here there is Peru current, which is a cold current that does not lead to the rains. Okay, warm current lead to the rains, not the cold current. That's why the desert aridity caused by the Humboldt current, that is the Peruvian current or the Humboldt current, cold ocean current flowing off the Pacific coast. Then features, there are salt pines, there are alluvial fans. Alluvial fans are the features in a riverine system when a fast flowing river come to a plain area. Then there are dunes and volcanic cones support the astronomic observation due to the clear skies that we have discussed in the context. And major astronomical observation in Atacama are Atacama Large Millimeter Array and Perennial Observatory. There are other astronomical observation in the Atacama Desert as well. Now let us move to the next quick update. The next quick update is about this bongos. So there is a musical instrument as well, but here we are discussing about the bongos antelopes. And what is the context? The 4 mountain bongos arrived in Kenya on their way to their native forest after years in the care of the zoo in the Czech Republic. So this is the image of bongos. Whenever you are reading about a species, please look at its picture, that make it easy to understand. What are its characteristics? It is the world's largest forest antelope, and it is recognized by its reddish brown body with white strip and long spiral horn that is visible in the image. And there are 2 subtypes, western bongo and eastern mountain bongo. And the habitat dense rainforest and the forest savanna ecosystem in central and east African forest. And IUCN status for the western bongo is near threatened, and for the eastern bongo is critically endangered. Now let us discuss the last quick update for today. The last quick update is regarding the Samarth Panchayat portal. And what is the context? The context is that the center to expand the rollout of Samarth Panchayat portal to the state like Assam, Uttar Pradesh and Maharashtra. In this news, we will be learning about the Samarth Panchayat portal. First of all, it is there under Ministry of Panchayati Raj. And what is its purpose? Its purpose is to provide a digital platform that empower panchayat to enhance and transparently monitor their tax and non-taxes revenue. Basically, when you read about local government, you might have read that there is issue of fund, function and functionaries. So basically, this is about the fund. And it helps panchayat strengthen their own source of revenue through UPI based online tax assessment and seamless tax payment at the Gram Panchayat level. So with this, we have completed the discussion for today's news today. If you want to read further the current affairs of the Vision IAS, you can visit the digital current affairs website of Vision IAS, and you can also solve the smart quizzes there and also solve the questions visible on your screen. Thank you and all the best for your examination.